What up, you fluffy bastards? My name is Liquid Blitz, and welcome to Superclass number 9. I bet you didn't know I wore glasses. This superclass is called Zulu's Bane. Fire at will! I was going to call this class Thunderbolt, because the primary weapon is the martini-henry, and to be honest, one strike is all you need. But then I decided to give everyone a history lesson instead, because I like knowledge for the sake of knowledge, and I like history. So I decided to call it Zulu's Bane. And now for the history lesson. I call it Zulu's Bane because the British used the martini-henry against the Zulus at the Battle of Rorke's Drift in 1879. If you've seen the old film Zulu, from like 1964, I think, that's what I'm talking about, that battle. They used martini-henrys in that battle. And that concludes the history lesson with Liquid Blitz. Anyway, the point is, I've tried to make a class as close to the weapons that they actually used in that battle. Obviously, the equipment is something else entirely. I'm pretty sure they didn't have fucking spot flares and K-bullets back in that battle, but, you know, give me a break. As per usual, I'm going to go through the class loadout, and then I'm going to switch the background to gameplay for the remainder of the video, while I discuss the strengths of this class, the strong-ass strengths of this class. And finally, I'm going to give some awesome gameplay tips to make the most out of this class, and they are worth listening to. Right, onto the loadout. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible because it usually takes too long. First of all, the centerpiece of this, as I've already mentioned, is the martini-henry, but it's the new version that's just released, the martini-henry Sniper. On it, we've got the lowest zoom level, the 5x zoom level. I'll explain why later. This is important as well. It needs the post reticle, because it's my favourite. It's the clearest sight out of all of them. And it has a bayonet. It needs a bayonet for obvious defence purposes. I will say one thing about this weapon. Yes, it is worth unlocking. It takes absolutely ages. Like, seriously, it took a long-ass time. It took me like 2 weeks of endless playing to get it, because you need 300 kills with it, with the original. But it's worth it, trust me. My God, it's worth it. Putting a scope on the martini-henry is awesome. Now, onto your pistol. Now, okay, in keeping with the whole theme of like a British loadout against the Zulus in that battle I was talking about before, the sidearms that some used back then were revolvers. Specifically, if you want to know the actual revolver, they used the Adams Mark III revolver. In the film, they didn't actually have access to any models of that, so I believe they used the Webley Mark VIs instead. I don't know much about these weapons, but that's what their names are. Anyway, the point is, they use an old-style revolver, and the closest equivalent in Battlefield 1, in the Scout class at least, is the I don't even know how to pronounce it, the Bodeo? I'm going to say Bodeo, it sounds best. Bodeo 1889, that's the closest thing, so that's why I've chosen that. And that, as with most of my pistols, has a 1.25 times zoom on it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the sort of relevance to the whole British Zulu war scenario. But I've got to choose some equipment and a grenade. So first of all, we have the spot flare, the best piece of equipment ever created, in my opinion. And because this is a sort of a close-range class, you need them spots, man. Because Lord knows your team won't do it for you. And secondly, as with previous Scout superclasses, the second equipment doesn't really matter. It's a close-range class. It's a mobile class, so tripwires there's sort of no point in them. So I've just chosen K-bullets, just because it's a nice sort of like second piece of equipment. I mean, it's always useful to have if a vehicle or like a behemoth like train, you know, rolls through the neighbourhood. So I've chosen K-bullets for the second piece of equipment. And as for the grenade, I've gone with the standard good old frag grenade, and I'll explain a bit why. I'll explain why in the tips section later, because there's a reason I've chosen the frag grenade above the others. Anyway, that's it for the loadout. Let's move on to the strengths. Now, the first strength, well, it's not really a strength, but I need to cover this to move on to the first real strength. The sweet spot for the martini-henry is 30 to 80 meters. Every scout rifle has a sweet spot distance, which is the distance away from your enemy that you need to be to do a one-shot kill to the chest and head, not just the head. It's always a one-shot kill to the head, but a chest as well. That's what the sweet spot distance is. And the martini-henrys is a very close 30 to 80 meters. All the other rifles are much further distances than that. Now, that being said, uniquely, the martini-henry has a higher max damage than all the other scout rifles. This extra high max damage means that, again, uniquely, it also does a one-shot kill to the upper arms and lower body. And by lower body, I sort of mean the torso, your stomach. So just to sort of clarify, the regular sweet spot, which is chest and head one-shot kill, that's between 30 and 80 meters. That's the sweet spot that all scout weapons have. But this, what I'm calling super sweet spot for the martini-henry, is between 42 and 68 meters, where it's a one-shot kill to the head, chest, stomach, shoulders, I believe as well, balls. A one-shot kill to the balls. Actually, you know what, I'm saying that. It says lower body, so I'm not sure if that actually counts the balls or not. But to be honest, if you get shot in the balls, you are down. Anyway, point is, this 42 to 68 meter super sweet spot is what makes the martini-henry awesome. It's unique, and it's sexy. And just to reiterate, that official strength I'm putting on screen is, it's a one-hit kill to upper arms and torso and chest and head between 42 and 68 meters. That is one hell of a strength. Now, the next strength, 5 times zoom. I've chosen the lowest zoom level, because it's a close-range rifle compared to other scout weapons, and the higher zoom levels are just too much. In my opinion, the 5 times zoom level is perfect for sort of 30 to 80 meter fighting. Keep in mind that because it's a sniper variant, it does have scope glint. Just keep that in mind. So when you look at enemies through your scope, they will know you're looking at them. This is obviously why they made it a sniper variant instead of a marksman. Without the scope glint, the martini-henry would just be too powerful. It would be the right arm of God himself. Anyway, the next strength is moving away from the martini-henry. The pistol, the Bodeo 1889, is powerful as balls officially. It's one of the most powerful pistols in the game. I'm not going to say it's the most powerful, because there are other weapons. The Mars Automatic, for example, has a higher minimum damage, so from a further distance, that does more damage. So it's not the most powerful, but it's pretty fucking powerful. It's officially, and I've worked this out myself by looking through the charts on Synthic.com, it's a 2-shot kill under 15 meters to anywhere but the legs and forearms. That's pretty powerful for a pistol. 2 shots, and the Bodeo 1889, Bodeo 1889, it has 6 shots because it's a revolver, so that isn't much, but it does have a decent fire rate. So 2 shots, decent fire rate, you're laughing. This makes it powerful enough, in my opinion, to be used as a standalone weapon at close range. And I do. If I'm running around sort of corridors and inside places, I often switch to my pistol to use it, like, just preemptively. Which you don't tend to do with most other loadouts, to be honest. You gots to love them revolvers, man. Anyway, moving on. The next strength is quite a specific one, and it sort of wraps up everything I've said before. One single martini-henry shot plus a single Bodeo 1889 shot, as long as you're not like 5 miles away from your enemy. 1 shot from each weapon is a kill. Now think about that. That's important, because if you get a hit with a martini-henry and it doesn't kill, and that happens a lot, let's keep it real, especially under 30 meters where it always hits for like 90 damage. 1 single shot from your revolver will kill them. Strike! Most people underestimate that strength and don't really think about it, but a hit from your martini-henry, if you can finish them with 1 single pistol bullet, that is so easy, that is just gravy. You will be swimming in kills. Now, the next strength is sort of a given, but I'll mention it anyway. The spot flare lets you sort of estimate your distance to your enemies. On top of being generally awesome and spotting anyone even close to the flare, everyone loves a good flare gun. You can use the enemy dots that it reveals on your minimap. You can use those dots to sort of have a much clearer, better picture of how far away you need to be to maximize that super sweet spot. After a while of using this class and thinking consciously about the distance between you on the minimap and the red enemy dots on the minimap, most people don't think about distance. It sort of doesn't go into the head. But for this class, you will slowly start to get used to the distance away, the correct distance to maximize this sweet spot mechanic. It doesn't really work as well with other scout weapons, because other scout weapons have much larger distances for the sweet spot. Because this is between 30 and 80 meters, and the super sweet spot is 42 to 68. That's close enough for you to sort of see all the enemies at that distance on your minimap. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm getting at? Anyway, that's it for the strengths. Let's move on to tips for playing this class as effectively as possible. I've already sort of covered most of it in my ramblings previously, but I'll cover them anyway. The first tip I've got for you, I've just been talking about. Try and stay between 42 and 68 meters away to maximize the number of body parts that give you a one-shot kill with a martini-henry. I mean, as I explained, the martini-henry's ability to one-shot kill against more body parts than any other scout weapon is a serious boon. It's a serious strength. Think about it. That gives you a huge area to hit and get a one-shot kill. So you definitely want to try and stay this distance away from your enemies, if you can help it. As for the second tip, I've pretty much covered it again. Follow up your martini-henry hits with your pistol. As I've already explained, if you're not miles and miles away from your enemy, if you get hit but not kill with your martini-henry, one shot from your pistol should kill them, because the Bodeo 1889 does 53 damage up close, like the other revolvers. So that's really high. But importantly, it has a high minimum damage of 17.5. And that is high enough to pretty much to finish off any enemy at any distance, really. So finish people off with your revolver. Show people love with your revolver. The next official tip, use the revolver as a standalone weapon at close range. Don't be running around them corners with your martini-henry. You can, because you can get a lucky sort of hip-fire hit with your martini-henry, but it's better, to be honest. You'll probably do better if you walk around with your revolver in these tight places. As I've already explained, under 15 meters, it's a 2-shot kill to anywhere but the legs and forearms. It has a decent fire rate, it's powerful as balls, so yeah, in my opinion, it's worth using on its own for close-range fighting. Just remember to run away and take cover when you're reloading, because it has a slow-ass reload. It reloads each shot individually, like the old-style revolvers. Now, the next tip, which I haven't discussed at all yet, this is one that just popped into my head a few minutes ago. Aim for the chest, not the head. Because of the sort of unique high damage pattern to the martini-henry, you should be aiming for the chest because it allows more room for error. I'll try and explain what I mean. All other scout weapons, you usually try to get a headshot, but since the martini-henry one-hit kills to more body parts than just the chest and head at its sweet spot distance, aiming for the chest means that you can miss in any direction slightly. If you aim for the chest, you miss in any direction, it's still a one-shot kill. Whereas if you aim for the head and you miss above, that you just 100% miss. So do you see why it's more beneficial to aim for the chest? Because chest, you shoot below, stomach, one-shot kill. Head, one-shot kill. You hit the chest, one-shot kill. Shoulders, one-shot kill. It's more, what's the word? Efficient to aim for the chest because it allows a greater area of missage while still getting a one-shot kill. And that's an important tip in my opinion. Anyway, moving on to the next tip. Use your spot flares whenever they're available, or if you just spawned fresh, then use your flares straight away. Also, keep in mind that like most other pieces of equipment, they do replenish from ammo packs and grenades, so if you see an ammo crate on the floor, go and replenish your flares. It will help you and the rest of your team immensely. Like, seriously, ain't nothing gonna help you more than knowing where all your enemies are. Like, especially, this is particularly effective between 30 and 80 meters, because that's what you can see on the minimap. So fire them flares, boy! Anyway, the next and last tip I've got for you is another thing that just sort of popped into my head randomly. I suggest that you use your grenade to weaken enemies before shooting at all. Something I've started doing with this class without thinking about it is throwing my grenade pretty far, and if it hits someone, I mean, if it kills them, then obviously great, but if it just hurts them, that's almost a guaranteed one-shot kill with a martini-henry, regardless of sweet spot. So I advise you try opening combat in the first place with your grenade, rather than just, like, wandering around with your gun, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's it for the tips, and that's it for this video. I know that the martini-henry sniper, it's a ball ache to unlock it. 300 kills with the original martini-henry. I mean, it didn't sound like that high when you first look at it, but when you actually start trying to get the 300 kills, it suddenly takes forever. It took me literally 2 weeks of, like, playing about an hour a day. Or maybe I'm just shit. But anyway, the point is, I think it really is worth unlocking. It's worth spending the time using the original martini-henry just to get this weapon. It is so different from the infantry version, it is unreal. Putting a scope on the martini-henry makes it seriously overpowered. So I recommend you unlock it, you try this superclass, and I want to know what you feel about it. Once you've used it, let me know how you found it. Like this video if you liked it, like this video if you didn't like it, and join me in my next video. The next video on my channel will probably be another part of Outlast. I've been releasing those thick and fast, and yeah, they are, I will say, if you're not into the whole playthrough videos, I advise you maybe go and give them a chance. They are funny, even I'm finding them funny to watch back. It's weird, but yeah, anyway, catch me in my next video.